La la la, I don't have theme music, la la la.
Secret of the Scarlet Hand is kind of lopsided here with one female character and 3 guys. I guess that gives Joanna the pick of the litter. Let me just go through all 3 options for her to remind myself of who the characters are and to pad out this video's runtime. Johanna with Alejandro del Rio. They hate each other, don't they? He thinks she's an underhanded crook who's robbing Mexico of its cultural heritage. He can't wait to find an excuse to get her arrested, and he even gets her removed from the museum for a while. He dislikes her so much, I can't imagine them dating. I know some people really like bickering couples. You see that in movies where 2 characters hate each other and they fight all the time, but it means they secretly love each other and they'll get together in the end. So I'm not one of the people who buy that. I don't like hate relationships. That just seems like a recipe for disaster. Joanna with Taylor Sinclair. Well, they're business partners. She's more than willing to look the other way as he makes shady art deals to further her museum's fame. I don't remember any indication that she actually likes him. Okay, nobody likes him, but still. She sees him as more of a necessary evil than a good partner. And in the ending, Nancy says Joanna learned her lesson about dealing with shady operators like him. So she's probably not going to date him, leaving Joanna and Hendrik Vanderhume. She makes a disparaging remark about his pointy Vander head at one point, but other than that, they're probably the best couple you could get in this game. They're both fascinated with Amaya, so they have shared interests. He can understand her jokes in foreign languages, and he understands why the museum's so important to her. They're both willing to go to extreme lengths to get what they want. She's got more in common with him than anyone else, and I don't think she'd have power struggles with him like she would with Alejandro or Taylor. Plus, it would be cute to see Hendrik propose to Joanna with a glyph. Something like, "The astute translator asks for the benevolent hand of the officious curator." He wanted something more romantic, but didn't know how to write it. Doesn't Hendrik say that Joanna visited him in the hospital at one point? I think it was Joanna, but she didn't go out of concern for him. She only went to badger him about the missing Bacall carving. So that wasn't nice of her, and it's a shocking lack of concern for an employee who was almost murdered. But he's still the best option available for her, so I'm going with him. Now for Nancy, which one of the 3 men would be best for her? Well, not Taylor. Nancy doesn't date culprits, and Taylor's just creepy besides. I'm tempted to say Alejandro because he appears to be the youngest. He's also the friendliest towards her. Genuine friendliness, that is. Taylor's just being fake friendly. Hendrik is way too old for Nancy, and Nancy Joanna probably wouldn't work. Even if Joanna was attracted to Nancy, I don't think anything would come of it. And besides, we know for certain that Nancy is straight. Besides, Joanna treats Nancy more like free labor than an actual person. Yeah, Nancy is free labor in this case, but that's still not nice. So yeah, I'm going with Nancy Alejandro. I ruled out everybody else. Alejandro's sort of the same age as her, and he seems to like her. In the same way, Alejandro Nancy would be a good choice. I think Alejandro Joanna would be a more interesting couple because they've got the problems that they need to work out and they fight. That can be kind of interesting, but I don't think they would work out their problems. Like I said, their dislike is just too strong for them to get past it. But if they could get past their dislike, then yeah, maybe their relationship would work out. Oh, wait. Now I'm remembering. He forces Nancy to break into Joanna's office and steal provenance papers. Then he uses them to get Joanna arrested, right? Doesn't he do that? Yeah, okay, so that's not working then. Joanna's never going to forgive him for that. Although I think the ending shows them getting along well enough to cite weird poetry at Nancy. So yeah, I'm going with Alejandro Nancy with Joanna in a close second place. I'm betting the internet is going to agree with me on this one. Taylor Sinclair. I do not want to think about this guy dating anyone. He might be good at flirting, though. Probably the only thing he's good at. He's quick with compliments, and he's very emotional about everything. But while he might be good at finding a girlfriend, I don't think he'd be good at keeping one. As proof, I point to his year-old cookies that he keeps trying to pawn off on everyone who enters his office. Either he straight up doesn't care about other people, or he's negligent to the point where he didn't notice his cookies are gross. Those are both bad tendencies which would ruin a relationship. Nobody wants to date a guy who's negligent and doesn't care, even if he has a flashy tie. And oh my gosh, that comb over. It's just, the pencil mustache. Okay, is there another brown noser in this series? Because Taylor is a major brown noser who, he kind of sucks up to everyone he meets. So I feel like he would work well with another brown noser, but nobody's coming to mind right now. So I'm going to stick with Taylor forever alone. Henrik Vanderheuen. According to his memory chart, he's divorced. We don't hear anything about his ex-wife, do we? He seems to have a thing for Nancy. That is, when he gets amnesia, she's the only one he remembers. She's the one he reaches out to, even though he's known Joanna longer, and he should know her better. True, he probably focuses on Nancy so much because the plot demands it, but let's say it's a subconscious desire to date her. And let's say she's in her 50s at this point in time, so it's not awful. So, Henrik and 50s Nancy, that works. There are more phone contacts than characters in this particular game. Let's talk about them. We've got 3 men and 3 women, and they actually make good couples without any crossed wires. Just like Message in a Haunted Mansion. Nice! First, Poppy Dada and Sunny June. There's no question about it. That is a good couple. They are both quirky and hilarious. She's probably the only person who could understand his eccentricities, and vice versa. They have a shared passion for art, and he's not super obsessed with aliens yet. At least not at this point where he can't focus on other things. So their names are also kind of similar, Poppy Dada, Sunny June, and they seem to be about the same age, so I'd ship it. Franklin Rose, owner of the museum, seems like a nice guy, although he's kind of boring. He knows Prudence Rutherford, and they have a friendly phone conversation off-screen. It works for me, Franklin and Prudence. She likes him enough to do him a big favor, and I think she's single in this game. She's married in one of the others. There's a joke where she scolds her husband for sitting on the couch, right? I get the impression she's only dating men who are much younger than her, or men who are as fabulously wealthy as herself. Franklin would fall under that category, and they have a history together. So it works. It works. So that leaves the other 2 phone conversation characters, Nurse Gordon Bluefoot with Sheila Schultz, the director of the Chaco Canyon Cultural Center. They're both dedicated to their jobs, and that's about it. Sheila has a teenage daughter, but we don't hear anything about a husband, so let's say he's out of the picture, leaving room for Gordon. Gordon wants somebody to be Henrik's point of contact for amnesia treatment, right? Sheila has fond memories of Henrik. She said they were all sad to see him go. So she could have worked as Henrik's point person. That's how Sheila and Gordon would become acquainted. Of course, that seems more like a setup for Sheila dating Henrik than Sheila dating Gordon, but I don't want to leave poor Nurse Bluefoot out in the cold, so Sheila Gordon it is. And, like I said in the previous video, I think Sheila would also be a good option for Sergeant Mac Ramsey, because they both have the same exact voice cadence. Could you imagine the 2 of them on a date with each other? So, Sergeant Ramsey, how are you doing? Well, I'm doing just fine, Sheila. How are you doing? Well, it was a busy day at the office today. Oh, really? Tell me more about it. I would love to tell you, sir. That would be hilarious. I'd love to see them go on a date like that. Okay, so there's actually another phone contact in this game. Henry Albert Daddle. So that would be Poppy Dada's Dada. Dada. Okay, so he's married, so let's say his wife is his best dating partner. Henry is voiced by the guy who does Ned, so, it's just him doing his normal Ned voice, except he's trying to sound a little bit older. So, this matches my idea of Nancy being in her 50s in this game. So let's pretend Nancy and Ned are both in their 50s, about the same age as Henry Daddle. So they call him Henry Albert Daddle, but it's really Ned. He has a daughter with Bess, and he's still on friendly terms with Nancy, and wow, I just took this to a weird place, didn't I? Okay, let's just stop and move on to the review. Reviewing! Okay, Joanna Riggs with Henrik. Nancy Drew with Alejandro Del Rio. Alejandro with Nancy. Taylor Sinclair with no one. Henrik Vanderheuen with Nancy Drew in her 50s. Poppy Dada with Sunny June. Franklin Rose with Prudence Rutherford. Sheila Schultz and Nurse Gordon Bluefoot. Henry Albert Daddle with his wife. So, what does the internet say? I was 100% right on Alejandro. Yeah! So is Alejandro Nancy with Joanna in a close second place. Very close indeed. Hendrik, there's a tie with Joanna Riggs and no one. If you do the math, they both got 30 votes. I have no idea why Twitter rounded up the 1 to 35%. There were 2 write-in votes for Prudence and 1 for Margarita from Phantom of Venice. In other words, people want Henrik with a sugar mama who's gonna pay for his Mayan hobbies. I'll be honest, there is nothing about Henrik which gave me the impression he should date a rich, older woman. Yes, he's an older man, but he took a pay cut to take the job here, so he's poorer than he used to be. So he's not rich, but maybe that's why he needs a sugar mama. Taylor Sinclair with no one. That is a pretty big majority saying he should not date at all. Since there were only 2 women in this game, I had enough room to include no one as a dating option. I wish I had enough space to do that on every single poll. We might get different results for all these polls, you know? Joanna with Alejandro Del Rio, with Taylor and Henrik more or less tied. There was a write-in vote for Nancy on the premise that Nancy can date anyone she wants because she's Nancy Drew. Nancy with Alejandro was also popular, but not as popular as Other. In this case, Other could mean Sunny. Sunny Nancy, I'll probably discuss that if this dating series ever makes it all the way to the Shattered Medallion. Anyway, the polls are pretty much saying that Alejandro is the eligible bachelor of the game, since he gets shipped with Nancy and Joanna more than the others. Sorry, Henrik. Alejandro's more popular than you. Not sorry, Taylor. Not sorry at all for you, because nobody wants to see you find love.